Hello and welcome to ETTelecom Roundtables. This is a part of a special initiative on the occasion of World Telecommunication Day. Of late, India is emerging as a sort of preferred destination for many multinationals by virtue of its huge market base and, of course, talent pool. Needless to say that a lot of innovations worldwide actually come from India. This time, India is looking at 6G technology and wanted to contribute in some meaningful way. To talk more on the subject, Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, we have esteemed panelists. We have Mr. A.K. Tiwari, former member Digital Communications Commission, and Mr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, CEO, Center for Development of Telematics. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. My first question is to Mr. Tiwari. Sir, you have been closely involved in policy making at the telecom department, and the department has come out with a very new kind of policy initiative to support R&D activities. So we just wanted to understand what does it mean and how will it help the Indian companies?
Yeah, greetings to everyone, all the audience, and congratulations for what this International Telecommunication World Telecom Day. See, telecommunication has given huge, changed everyone's life, and it has impacted all business, socio-economic conditions. Presently in India, we are having around close to 117 crore total mobile and mobile connections. Out of this, 57 crore, close to 57 crores are in rural area, and 84 crore are internet mobile broadband. They are using internet mobile broadband. So with this huge potential, India is an enormous market actually. And with this potential, basically so far we were consumption market. We were importing all the equipments, state of art equipments from the suppliers, OEMs, and all these things. But just a consumption market will not lead to a real 5G, 6G, or whatever real digital economy empowerment to the India. And our Honorable Prime Minister has already a vision that digital economy should contribute around close to $1 trillion by 2027 or so. So this vision, to facilitate for this vision and mission, Government of India has brought a 6G vision document, R&D support initiative, and many other things. For last 10 years, I have been in the ministry actually, and I have seen many developments and all these things. So to take the empowerment of all these societies, all this our population, and to bridge the digital divide gap, this mission and this R&D initiative government has taken. Presently, this 5G, 4G, or whatever it is, this is not using exactly the entire technology chain, actually AI, blockchain, and 5G, all these things. That can empower in the entirely different way. And that can change the public service delivery mechanism. You might have seen after the evolution of 4G, basically, this applications have changed, transformed the entire lifescape, actually. Our entire service delivery mechanism, transparency has increased, which is aim of direct distribution of money for the this Antyodaya and all other things. So this vision document and this R&D initiative of Government of India, that will definitely bring a boost to the economy for our industry. And government have taken so many initiatives like Telecom Technology Development Fund has been created last year, and it has been inaugurated somewhere. Probably Mr. Upadhyay is part of that committee also. So this has outlay of around 350 to 450 annual outlay, annual budget. This will support to our industry, our product development system, our R&D, this thing, that will give a boost to the this thing, because R&D involve huge billions of investment. And that investment, if it is successful, of course, that will give important a very boost to the this thing economy actually, that will reap, and for years royalty will come through that, and that will give a really boost to the economy. So this telecom development fund. Similarly, we have taken so many other steps. I just remember. We have facilitated this license, spectrum license for trial and for R&D and for demonstration purposes. Earlier, taking spectrum for demonstration and for any product testing or anything, that was a huge task. So government, for whatever obstacle, tapeism or whatever bureaucratic setup there was, if there was at all any hurdle, for last 10 years, everyone, I mean, whenever there is a hurdle is identified on the request of industry or a suo moto, government has removed those things. Now, simply with the declaration, you can take a license for testing for 3 months, 6 months, a spectrum license, you can take demonstration, experimental R&D license, you can take merely by paying 5,000 rupees. TTP DF is entirely. DCIS is one which is supporting the startup mission actually. And see, I remember hackathon was held somewhere in 2021 or so. More than 1,000 entries, more than 1,000 ideas were received, good ideas involving all agricultural, many other ministerial verticals and all these things. So looking to with those ideas, government has formed a this committee actually involving all other interministerial officers and all these things, industry and academia, to develop the use cases pertaining to those ministries so that those ministries can handhold to the startup mission and then incubation and any other activity and further proliferation of idea can take place. So this is all initiative are definitely paying back to the economy, and there are so many other this thing. I mean, presently with our initiative in R&D and our funding and with academia, this thing. I remember 5G test bed with 220 crore funding from the Department of Telecommunication. It was given to our IIT Academia Consortium, Samir, all this research institute. And DOT and C-DoT, all these were part of the committee and they have deliberated. What was the outcome? Outcome that we got a IPR in the name of 5G, which is first time actually. And then presently for any developer, for a small startup, they want to test their idea, they want to test their product. There was no facilitation. They have to go to abroad and pay million of this thing dollars in dollars fees and all these things. Now they can test their product, their software, anything through 5G test bed. Similarly, C-DoT is also having test bed facility, network test bed. So I mean, there is a huge this thing, and your question was that what way our industry is going to benefit. Lot of example now, more than 10,000 startups are there, and more than 100 are unicorns. They have been changed in unicorns. So this is all the endeavor, the enthusiasm, the funding, the better atmosphere of the government and industry that now our product development is developing actually. 4G stack is end to end now. It has been homegrown stack. That will also going to give the more economic boost. And now the import this thing deficit what we were importing much more than what we were exporting. That will diminish, and within future actually we will be able to export.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So now I'm turning to Mr. Upadhyay. Lately, C-DoT has started working with a lot of startups and formed multiple alliances in 5G arena, basically. So, do you think the Indian startup ecosystem is mature enough to further work on the 6G technology as we talk over the next couple of years? Is it
Uh,
mature enough?
so I think I'll start with currently we are in the 5G era. 6G is upcoming technology.
Right.
If as Tiwari sir said, our mindset earlier was just import and consume it. So there was no mindset that we can do it ourselves. and we never tried it into our hands in 2G. We never tried our hands in 3G. And somewhere in 2020, I remember it was thought of that, after the geopolitical issues, that why not have our own telecom gear, from not only from the economic perspective, from the security perspective also. So many firms in India, many startups I can name, like Lekha, they were developing 4G radio. Rejunes, it was developing a 4G radio. Signaltron was developing 4G radio. Tejas was developing 4G radio. And we were also somewhere, in the race for the core. And over the last 2 years, the 4G has been at least now stabilized. And you must have seen in the newspapers that, the whole order has been cleared, and BSNL is soon placing orders on 4G. So 4G ladder we have crossed. Now comes 5G. In 5G also, these startups, there are now in 5G, many more startups have come up, who are working in 5G. Now Tejas is taken over by Tata's. Tata's has also taken Sankhya Labs. Both of these companies, Tejas and Sankhya, are developing 5G radios. Then companies like Lekha, Signaltron, Rejunes, Amantya, there are many startups which are actually working in 5G area. And given the support of the government, maybe initially in earlier days it would have not been possible, but because of the support from the government today, in terms of TTDF, in terms of DCIS scheme, in terms of CCRP of C-DoT scheme, there is a lot of funding. The money will not be a constraint at all. If you have the capability, the money will not be constraint. We ourselves have funded a big amount to one of the consortium, and the second consortium is in the pipeline. So 5G also, although we are late in developing the 5G, because 5G is already launched, and India also launched with the imported equipment, the 5G services. Going forward, I am sure that in a year or two, India will have its own 5G equipment in India, not only for India and for the rest of the world also. I have absolutely no doubt in saying this, because in next 1 or 2 years, we will have our own radios and core within this year. In fact, the first models will start coming from this year, and then they will, evolve going forward. Now coming to 6G, having started very late on 5G, I mean, I can say that we started talking about 5G in 2021. 2020, we were busy in 4G. 2020, and while our 4G POC was going on, we started taking 5G. We formed a 5G alliance under which, we have taken help of our honorable experts from not only from India, from abroad, to help us in the technology roadmap. Now coming to 6G, I think 6G India has taken a lead. Definitely 6G, because it is the technology which is slated to come by 2030. We're sitting in 2023, 7 years in advance. If you are working on it, I think India holds a great chance in be a leading player in terms of developing technology for not only for India, or for the rest of the world also. And one more thing I would like to say, that as the technologies are evolving from 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, more of software is coming. And like our 4G is running on a COTS hardware, commercially off-the-shelf hardware. You don't need any dedicated hardware. So you can design the core software, and that core software can run in any of the hardware. What it means, since the hardware dependency has gone, so it's primarily software game. And we are, the whole world knows that the prowess of India in software. So therefore, it makes it the window of opportunity for us is really great in 6G as well as in 5G. And 5G also, if you really look at, 5G has not fully delivered yet. 5G has 3 use cases: eMAV, that is for high speed, but URLCC and MMTC. These applications are yet to come. And on this side also, our startups are playing great role. As Tiwari sir was telling, that 1,000 entries were there for 5G, and we selected 100. And recently we have, out of 100, then we selected 10. Then finally we awarded 3 recently in one of the event in Honorable MOC actually gave them awards. So the 5G use cases will also, India will get many startups in the 5G space, in the use case space. We will solve problems of mining, we'll solve problems of health, we'll solve problems of education, power, you name it, 5G use cases are there, and it's just evolving. So therefore, the other side of the 5G, other than EMBB, ULCC and MMTC, the game is open, and I am sure that Indian startups will take a good role, a good lead in this. And we are definitely very, we are helping the startups. We have set up entrepreneurial cell in Bangalore. We have set up entrepreneurial cell in Delhi. We encourage startups to come and sit here, do work with us. We will give them free space. We'll give them free power, free internet, and all the support, mentorship, whatever is required, and wherever required, even the funding will be provided by C-DoT to these startups.
And absolutely, this is a very good initiative by C-DoT. And as you talked about 5G core, how soon we will be able to hear a good news from C-DoT?
See, 5G radio and core both will turn out within this year. The 5G core and 5G NSA core already deployed in BSNL. I think Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated during IMC our 5G NSA core. So 5G NSA core is settled. Now is the issue of 5G SA core and 5G radios. 5G radio also, our radio, the call by Honorable Prime Minister, which was made during IMC, was using our own 5G radio. But definitely that was a call was made, but it's not a carrier grade. We are making it carrier grade radio, and within this year, we are sure that it should find place in BSNL network. Regarding 5G SA core, also our core 5G SA core will be ready from us. And good news is that it is getting ready from Tata's. It is getting ready from Jio's. So you will have opportunities, to compete in a healthy competition so that a better product comes out. So core also India will have within this year 3 cores, and radios also. Our radio will come, Tejas radio will come, Sankhya radio will come, and a few startups like Lekhas and Regionus and Signaltron. These startups also will come up with radio. So I'm sure that by end of this year, we should have our own 5G radio as well as 5G SA core.
Oh, that's very exciting, actually, for all of us. So, Sir Tiwari, sir, if I may just turn to by asking you that Prime Minister already talked much about India taking lead in 6G technology, but we have some learnings from 5G. Do you think this is the right time for India to further take part in global standard settings? Because as Mr. Upadhyay was telling, we were late in 2G, 3G, and 4G generation, and now even late in 5G. So this is the right time to contribute in global forums and all.
Yeah.
What's your take on this?
Yes, it's really a very important question. And some part of this has already been replied by Dr. Upadhyay. That we were late in 4G, 2G, and probably we have not attempted even for 2G, 3G, 4G, all these things for standard setting. And standard setting, global standard setting is a very complex scenario basically, and a lot of diplomatic and other technical and massive MNCs take part, and I mean, everything, it's a kind of political dynamics also goes there. So first time India, because of this 5G test bed and all these things, and huge IPR was generated, and we tried, I mean, our academia and TSDSI, they tried. So 5G was a very good learning actually. And now, because Honorable Prime Minister has given a stress on that, India is able to, and India is keen to take actually global lead in global participation in 6G technology and its standard setting. So this is the right time, and probably Honorable Prime Minister has given stress at the right point actually. Earlier we were late, or even we have missed the bus, but now it is very timely. We have entered. We should, government as a whole and industry and our academia, they should work in cohesion actually, and they should go. 5G, I will say, this 5G technology, broadly we say 5G technology in ITU International Telecommunication Union, they approved kind of 2 5G technologies, and one was from India, which is known as 5G-I. And otherwise, the other 5G is from the 3GPP. There was huge, actually, I will say, there was from the manufacturer OEMs and all these things. Even our some telecom service providers, there were apprehension that there will be implementation challenge for the 5G. Our academia and our industry, they proved it, and with the government also entered into that to showcase that no, because this 5G Indian version of the 5G, basically, this is for the other 5G is for high speed, low small cell actually. But this Indian version is for the rural use case basically. So far in 2G, 3G, and 4G, there was no such rural use case available. It was adapted somehow, and that is why you will find that any undeveloped country and poor and rural area and all this thing, deployment of the latest technology is very late basically, because unless the other market, niche market is covered, nobody used to go and think to invest there in that. So always there is a digital divide. In this 5GI, which is called LMLC actually, low motion, and large cell. So for the low moving object, like our buses and all these things, in rural you don't need the bullet train, but you need the 5G technology. So this was suitable, and that is why, because of this USP, many countries like Middle East, like many African countries, Asian countries, including Russia, Brazil, and many other African countries, UAE, they supported this version actually, and then ultimately ITU approved. This was not only this thing, rather it was a very diplomatic this thing, our showcase basically. So this 5GI could have take place, and now it is part of 3GPP release 17. It has been consummated in that. It has been this incorporated in 3GPP release 17, and from release 17 onward, our 5G, 5G plus, and 5G towards 6G journey will start. So now this is the right time for 5G. We have given something to the whole world for the needy persons, to empower the needy society of African society, poor developing nations, and all these things. That is contribution from the our India. So for 6G, this is the right time. Already government is trying. We have funded, Mr. Upadhyay has already said, they are also working, their consortium is working. They have very good collaboration with the foreign professors and even Indian academia and all these things. They are having a technology advisory board. So everyone, our startups, everyone is giving their bit. They have started. Results will be displayed only when there is a success. Otherwise, there will not be any story. But people, our industry, our academia are contributing, and let us hope. So we are at the right time. We have entered. We have to pursue all standard making forums, SDOs of the ITU, of the United Nations. We have to contribute. We have to participate. Only thing I will say, that from many other country, like our neighbor Asian country, they send our this thing team of delegates to participate in standard setting organizations meetings in hundreds. At least government of India also should make a kind of panel list, and they should always send for next 10-15 years. They should earmark that these people for this domain, and this people set of people will go for this domain. We are at the right time, but with all these things, so government and Department of Telecommunications is definitely working in that direction. Academia is on the right, industry is always already there. DOT is research wing, that is the C-DoT, they are on the track. I hope this time the total ecosystem enthusiasm which is being developed, which is running there in the undertone, that is there. And I am sure with these blessings of what Honorable Prime Minister has recognized, that we will take lead in 6G. We are at the right time, and probably we will win that race, and we will contribute hugely to this global standard setting. Because once you contribute in the standards which is suitable to your environment, your country need, then only the product will be developed in that line. And otherwise, whatever the efforts of industry, suppose our is some startup, they develop some product which is suitable for 40 degrees centigrade. But if the provision in the standard is only up to minus 25 or 20 degree, then probably that product, nobody is going to take those products. I mean, it's just a crude example, I will say. So for our need, for major need of Africa and another country, all these things, in that direction, if the standards, we will start working, we will contribute and we will set it, the standards, so that our wishes are also incorporated. So with this wisdom, with this vision, with this mission, government has come out with R&D and with many other vision documents and all these things, and probably we are at the right time. We will not miss the bus this time. Thank you.
Okay, that's really good. So, Mr. Upadhyay, can you throw some light on how academia can play a role in technology development, including standards and use cases, especially when we see 6G technology?
I think Tiwari sir touched a very important point of standards, because unless until you are in the standards game, you will have to use other companies. So let me explain that there are, you patent whatever you do differently. Your innovation, you get patented. The second thing is, the standard essential patent, SEP, what we call. So what it means that if to implement a standard, you use a particular patent, then it becomes a standard essential patent. And that is the key in the, to play the game in the telecom domain, you need to get into is a standard essential patent. Let me just give an example of 5G, for example. 5G, if you really look at 35% of these standard essential patents are from China, 35%. 25% are from Korea, so 60%. Another 15% are from US. Then we have from Finland and we have from Sweden because of Nokia and Ericsson. So even if you implement something, you will have to hit these SEPs and you end up, paying these people. And you may remember case of Micromax, how it died because of the SEP issues. So therefore, standards is a very, very important thing. And for standards, you cannot just generate standards. Standards mean you first need to do an idea, you need to do research, and then you see, oh, this is working, and that is how you get into standard. When the standard setting happens in the standard body, primarily people come up with idea, implement it, and then show to them, look, this can work like this. And this is how it becomes a standard essential patent. As Tiwari sir rightly said, we need to develop a full team which goes to these standard setting bodies, and the same team. When I used to go to from TRI to ITU events, I used to see people from the government. Today, Shiv Prasad is there. Tomorrow, Rajkumar is there. Tomorrow, Shyam Kumar is there. Where in Chinese, 50 people I used to see, same people, coming and coming well prepared, dealing it from the previous side and taking it forward from their side. And therefore, the whole standard journey, and it is backed up by the research. So academia is a very, very important part of the whole value chain. Academia plays a very important role in terms of one, working at the frontier of technology. Second, developing a prototype model. Academia may not be a right place to develop a product, but definitely they are a right place to get into a technology and give the initial kind of thing. And you may be aware that Government of India has already set up a 6G test bed. I think 170 crore or something, which is, in this IITs are there, Samir is there, multiple academic institutes are there to develop 6G technology. So 6G technology, which is to come in 2030, if you start working now, you do research, then go to the standards body, get those standards incorporated. And because currently what we are doing through TSDSI, what we are doing, whatever standards are done in the 3GPP, we bring to TSDSI, TSDSI transposes it, that brings it to TEC, TEC declares it a national standard. So our 5G success was great, because 5G also did not happen just like that. 5G, a lot of research was done by IIT Hyderabad, YSEG, IIT Chennai, IIT Kanpur, all these people, they did the research and then they presented the results to the body. And then you also need little bit of lobbying in terms of standards. And if you have nothing to barter, it becomes very difficult. Typically, like if you look at I gave you statistics country-wise, but if you look at the company-wise, who are holding the SCPs? It is Huawei's, it is Jetty, it is Samsung, it is Nokia's, it is Ericsson's, it is Intel, it is Qualcomm. These are the companies. So I will be in a very good position to barter my SCP. Like you have something, I use yours, you use mine. We also need to get into that space. So it will be back. It has to be backed up by research, and academia will play a very, very great role. 5G testbed, Department of Telecom funded, IIT Chennai led consortium, and good results are there. Some IPs are generated, and today, and because of that lead, because of the testbed, today we have around 126 patents. And we would like that these patents actually become the standard essential patent. Because once these become standard essential patents, then they will get into the standard body, and whoever implements will actually pay us, or we'll barter it. Like I use yours, you use mine, that kind of thing. Academics is going to play a big role. And given the funding now, government, like for example, we have received in TTDF 415 proposals, and lot many proposals from the academic institutes, also IITs, ISCs, tier 2 colleges, tier 3 colleges. And this will spread the ecosystem, the R&D ecosystem. It cannot be limited to one or two organizations. It has to go in multiple directions. And therefore, the best of this will be aggregated and come up as a result. So academics will play a very, very big role apart from the industry.
Sure. So now, Mr. Tiwari, as we all know, that telecom department has formed 6G forum and has come out with 6G Bharat vision and divided the mission into two phases. But despite all this, we are seeing very little activity around 6G technology. As Mr. Upadhyay said, this is the very right time, because when we see something happening in 2028 or 30, so this is the right time to start some activity. So what, according to you, are the bottlenecks in this basically area from a policy perspective?
Yeah, from the policy perspective, basically, I mean, first of all, I will just talk about what 6G forum and 6G document is what has been given by the Honorable Prime Minister on 22nd of March this year. So, I mean, the whole document I have gone through one time actually. I have seen that the vision is that Antyodaya, every last mile, last person of this country is not left actually. So, inclusion of Antyodaya and all these things are there actually in that document. That is the kind of broader perspective with this actually. Time is right, we should enter, but you have raised one good concern that in spite of all this, there seems no, I mean, this thing activity basically. See, research activity is definitely, of course, unless the outcome is there, we can say that there is nothing. But two things were announced recently, actually, I mean, which Mr. Upadhyay, Dr. Upadhyay has also mentioned, that 6G terahertz test bed. This is been given in this actually. That is some more than 100 crore, but 70 he has mentioned. That is a good announcement actually, which our academia will work along with the some industry and all these things experts, and advanced optical network. This is another thing actually which has been these two test bed Department of Telecommunication has planned, granted, and work is going on in that actually. Then thirdly, for the quantum from the Department of Science and Technology, quantum is taking a quite good pace actually, and Government of India has probably this thing marked the 6,000 crore fund. Kind of that outlays has been marked over some few years, and research will go on in that actually. And C-DoT is also from the Department of Telecommunications. C-DoT is for the quantum. C-DoT is the nodal research organization, basically. So with all this actually, and all these things will support for the 6G. Definitely, this advanced optical network, this terahertz, because apart from whatever we are having in mid band and millimeter band, everything that will take place in the 6G also. So that research is already underway. Outcomes may or may not have come actually, but things are going in that direction. IPR will definitely be generated, but if those IPRs are not converted in SCPs, so for the IP dealing of IPR is also a very complex scenario actually. Very, muscle power kind of thing, is required. Big MNCs are in fray basically. So for that, Government of India has facilitated for the IPR policy also. Internal meeting has taken place during my tenure also. So at every point of whatever the bottleneck, government feels, industry gives the input feedback that this is the bottleneck. Go from the government side, government is removing all those obstacles, all those bottlenecks actually. So that way, what I find that, but yes, your concern was so that nothing big is visible actually in this 6G. But I'm sure that with the enthusiasm, our industry, our academia, and the government in unison is working actually. I'm sure that outcome will be there. Let us be some optimistic. And one more thing that having such kind of program, ETTelecom, which they will be organizing very soon with the government, with them, and all these things. There will be, talk. There will be push from the media also that what is going to happen in 6G and all these things. So, but everyone is quite positive about this, and I'm sure that in future we will. This time we will succeed definitely positively, and we will able to give lot of standards, lot of product. One more thing I would like to say. Suppose this 6G. Before that, 5G, Dr. Upadhyay just now mentioned that 5G stack is also in the process. Reliance Jio claims that they are having end-to-end 5G. This thing, C-DoT with TCS, they are about to give 5G core and 5G RAN and other things also with our many MSME and other industry. So as 4G was given by India, of course, late. Now 5G, we are almost close to the little bit late. But once 4G and 5G product is there and test bed, which has been sanctioned recently by the government, funded by the government, then 6G technology testing, 6G product, 6G software, all these modules, module by module, there will be an entire facility actually to test product, to test software module, to test any algorithm, and then our industry, our research fellow will be able to deliver something. That's what I feel. So those infrastructure are now taking place. Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Tiwari. So, just to add, as a media outlet, we are keeping an eye on 6G development as we go. So now, Mr. Upadhyay, as you said that India has close to 130 patents in 6G technology, and still the China, Korea, and US hold a lion's share even in 6G technology. So do you think we need to step up our efforts in this direction to have more patents? Because 130 patents or something is still very less for this kind of technology.
Yeah, I think this is a journey. I mean, as I said that we started 4G, 5G very late. In 6G, we have enough time to play the game because in 5G, 4G, we entered when the game was already played. We entered the last moment. So this time we are right in the beginning of the game. And therefore, given the impetus government is giving on research and funding the research through academia, through industry, through startup, I'm sure that the lot many patents will come, and not only patents will come, some of these patents will translate into standard essential patent when we go take these research into the standards when the standards being talked about. Because 6G is still at the nascent stage, people are talking about, they're setting the tone for 6G, that what it should do, whether it should do this, whether it should do that. So that thing is, and how the standards get formed is basically, when different companies, different research bodies work together, and then they say, oh, this is possible, let us put this as a standard. So standard and research go by hand, and since government of India has put the slogan also, Jai Anusandhan. I think there is a lot of focus on R&D, and because without the R&D, you can't really survive. If you really look at the percentage of money you are spending of your GDP, some countries like Korea, they spend US, Japan, they spend 3 to 4% of their GDP into R&D. We spend only 0.65%. But with with little increase, the whatever government has sanctioned, with little increase, because we are the nation of talent and we are the nation of jugars. With less money, we can do better things. So we don't need that. Even if it is 1% of our GDP, I think we'll be able to deliver. So I'm very sure that we will match up to the game in 6G. We'll come up with our patents. We'll come up with the SCPs. And as Tiwari sir said rightly, once we have a base of 4G and 5G, getting into 6G becomes easier. Look at the impact of government policy. We were the large importer of mobile phones from the global market. Today we are exporting. Today, approximately whatever our exports is there, out of 70 billion of production, electronics production, what our country is doing, 35 billion comes from mobile. So mobile, we are exporting more and importing less. So same will be the story for our 4G core, 5G core, 5G radios, 6G radios. Going forward, we should be able to bridge this import deficit. Currently, we are having close to $50–60 billion of trade deficit in electronics area. And the government is also looking at the whole ecosystem, because you can't do software is one part, but the hardware, radio is still a lot of hardware. So you need to work on components, you need to work on ATMPs, you need to work on OSATs, you need to work on semiconductor. So government has already come up with multiple schemes. For example, they have come with ISM, India Semiconductor Mission. They have come with EMC 2.0, electronic manufacturing clusters. They have come with PMP program. PMP program basically says that how do you increase your value addition in your mobile manufacturing? So various PLIs have come. So government is actually firing from the all side to see that the whole ecosystem is, no piece of the puzzle is left around. Definitely, some of them will take time, like setting up fabs in India. So I feel that the whole ecosystem, from component to OSAT to ATMPs to fab to design to the manufacturing and then to export, I think we will be in the whole value chain, and it will become easier, because if you try to take one part of the whole thing, you will not succeed. You need to fire everywhere, because this is the ecosystem which is interrelated. So therefore, I feel India will have definitely a great chance in 6G, given that we are working in all the directions. It's not one direction. We are working in all the directions. C-DoT, for example, our own budget has been almost doubled. So therefore, the responsibility also increases on us to deliver to the world. Like quantum, we have done our quantum systems. Today, the quantum industry is at the stage what semiconductor industry was in 1950. So those companies who took little interest in that became the leaders, and they started playing a major role in that. So government of India has come at the right time with the condition of 6,000 crore. China has $10 billion program. US has $1 billion program. UK has, multiple countries have their own $1 billion programs in quantum, because quantum is also at the nascent stage. Tomorrow, this will be a big industry. So in quantum also, we have taken lead. So this R&D ecosystem, which is getting culture, you look at the startup ecosystem. We had hardly 400, 500 startups in somewhere in 2014-15. Today we have 1 lakh plus. Today we have 115 unicorns from India. So with little push, that it's not that we are funding them greatly, but we are, if we can reduce their bottleneck in some sense, facilitate them. For example, Tiwari sir mentioned about the experimental license. Earlier, to take an experimental license, it was impossible. I mean, very difficult. It's not impossible. It's very, very difficult. Today, it just comes, you apply we pay 5,000 rupees, it comes. And without a spectrum, you can't really test. The other part also, even if spectrum is given, you don't have a test bed. Today we have a test bed in 5G. C-DoT is setting up OTIC, the Open Testing and Integration Center for 5G ORAN. So we are setting up a state-of-the-art OTIC center in Bangalore and OTIC center in Delhi, wherein we will provide all kind of tools, all kind of testers, all kind of testing environment for our industry, for our startup, so that they can come and they don't have to worry about, because this is a game which need to be supported. The governments, whether it is Swedish government or Finland government or US government or a Chinese government, has been supporting these industry, these startups, this ecosystem, so that we have our technology prowess. So I feel that we will have a very good role in 6G technology for the globe.
Okay, that's great, Mr. Upadhyay. I mean, that's really very insightful. So, Tiwari sir, my last question would be like on 6G convergence, basically. So, we are hearing that 6G offers a lot of convergence between satellite-based communications, right? Do you think this is the massive opportunity which is likely to unfold for local ecosystem, especially on the device and application side over the next 5 years?
Yes, I mean, the reply for this is straightway yes, of course. It is going to give a huge, I mean, this thing, field, huge opportunity for application level, for ecosystem involving devices in the next 5, 10 years, definitely. And many business opportunities will develop actually, kind of use cases and all these things, as has been the case in 4G, basically. After the evolution and after deployment of the 4G network, lot of, I mean, startups started using that 4G applications, and then they've developed, and it's now I mean, a billion kind of thing. Companies are there, naming a few like 1MG, Zomato, Swiggy, many other this thing. So similar opportunity is going to be there. I mean, it may be in the very different context also, in the very different shape also. Apart from that, DBT kind of things, I mean, direct delivery of this thing from the government funds and all these things, there will be huge transparency. So entire ecosystem will be I mean, kind of these things. Now, there is another question also that 6G offers convergence. Yes, so, I mean, that's very sensitive matter you have raised, Mr. Abbas. So, yes, 6G offers convergence. Even from the 5G itself, I mean, convergence has taken place. Broadcasting, you have named satellite based, but I will say broadcasting also has been is going to be converged in this. Satellite is going to be converged. If you look to the any technical person will appreciate that in 3GPP's release 17, what box they have given, there is satellite is there in that, integrated access backhaul is there, and many other optical network is also something kind of that is also mentioned, if I remember correctly. And beyond 17, release 17 in 3GPP documents, everything will be merged. So there is nothing kind of that it is terrestrial, this is satellite, this is all. For my user perspective, as a user, whatever user equipment, handheld device I'm having, whatever devices like laptop or my personal mobile phone, that will be unaware at the user part. I will be unaware whether I am working, I mean, I'm talking on terrestrial, and whenever it has been taken hand over to the satellite-based communication, because satellite-based communication is also using the backbone, I mean, backhaul and access. And similarly, the terrestrial is working on the access spectrum. So spectrum as a whole is, I mean, one. Earlier, the satellite were working in the different spectrum and terrestrial were working in the different spectrum. Now it is not that. Millimeter wave, take example, C band, you take example, mid band, millimeter, and even 37 gigahertz to 42 gigahertz, their satellite is there and terrestrial is there, and which will be auctioned probably. Government is planning to auction it in 2024. There was news in your ETTelecom also. So things are converged. Now, I mean, there should be, because it is all delivering, the service delivery mechanism is the same. It will be at the higher platform. Once the service delivery is same, once the services are same, once the end product is your EMBB or URLC, whatever it is there, I mean, that 3GPP, this thing terms, I mean, massive broadband or massive machine-to-machine communication, all these things. If it can work either through satellite or either through terrestrial, then being the same services, there should be the same level playing platform. So this is kind of sensitive issue, and probably government might be working in this. In my regime, this satellite communication was services was offered to the sent to the TRI, and TRI is now mulling actually for the consultation. And soon these satellite-based services will also be auctioned the same spectrum. So with this, I mean, that should be done very quickly actually, and every services should be bring at the one platform, so that there should not be, I mean, this thing, any non-level playing field, and there should not be hue and cry from other this thing forum. And then this whatever ecosystem will develop, evolve actually, involving satellite, involving other convergence techniques, then this 5G and 6G and 5G beyond, all these things will offer a very good environment for the startups, and there will be huge opportunity for the business, for the digital economy, and there will be opportunity that whatever digital divide even today is there at the very nook and corner of country of the, I mean, a portion of the country in very remote rural area, that digital divide we will be able to, I mean, bridge, and we will empower the last person of this country, last region of the country, that is called Antyodaya actually. So with this all, and 4G is also coming by the BSNL, I mean through C-DoT, then they are going to enter 5G, and 6G convergence is already there in the standards. So that's why I mentioned earlier the standard setting is very important actually. And suppose a standard is set to the converged. So here in India, satellite cannot be a separate entity. It will be part of that. So that way, the environment is good, convergence is there, and it is going to offer a huge opportunity for the local ecosystem, involving local devices, involving local applications, and that will give the opportunity for the local business also. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. So, Mr. Upadhyay, as you talked about 5G Open RAN testing centers that C-DoT is planning to come up with, so can we see similar activity in 6G space maybe 2 years down the line?
As I said, we have already sanctioned a 6G testbed of 170 crore, which is led by Samir. Many IITs are there in that particular testbed. So 6G testbed is already, when the 6G technology is not yet defined, but we have already taken a lead thinking that the terahertz will play a big role. See, like similar to 5G where millimeter wave is playing a role. And, the data requirements are growing. I always recollect days where we has to pay some 500 rupees for 250 MB, and we are very happy that we are getting 250 MB of data for 500 rupees. Today it is less than 10 rupee for 1 GB. Tomorrow it may be 5 rupee per 10 GB, and as the prices decrease, the consumption will actually grow up, and more new applications are coming. Nobody thought what will be Ola. Nobody thought Netflix will come in India. Nobody thought Prime Videos will come in India. So people are consuming, creating as well as consuming the content and a video content in a big way. Therefore, the spectrum also has to keep pace with that. Now, therefore, it was thought that terahertz will give you enormous bandwidth because in terahertz, even a small 1% of that will be a huge chunk. Therefore, Government of India has already set up been funded a test bed. We have already started working on that. We are the implementing agency. C-DoT as an extended arm of Department of Telecom. We are the implementing agency for advanced optical test bed, as well as 6G, as well as many other startups we are funding in terms of designing encrypted system, designing quantum systems, designing satellite system, designing solving some problem. And 5G is one core, but what will come around it in Ola, maybe if 4G was not there, Ola will not. Swiggy's. So many more applications will come, and therefore, if you really look at 5G, earlier 2G, 3G, 4G was all about connectivity, nothing beyond. It was only connectivity. But today, every ministry is saying, what can 5G do for me? Agriculture is asking, please tell me what is, how can I solve my problem of agriculture? Mining is saying, how do I, take this safety into account? And now the advantage of India is that it's not only telecom, which is a security issue at times. So therefore, the defense is another market, railway is another market. There are so many other sectors which will consume these 4G, 5G, and going forward 6G. In a nutshell, I'll say that it is a great time for India because India has everything in it. It has great talent. It has good resources. It has, look at 80,000 design engineers are working in India, but we don't have IP. These design engineers are producing IP for somebody else. So if government takes interest, and government is taking interest now, so all these IP can be yours, and you could become one of the front lead, front runner for the standards. So only this is a question of channelizing these talent and the resources using various schemes. Both MIT and DOT are playing great role. Even DST is playing great role in strengthening the R&D system in the country. And therefore, all these together will take our country forward in the technology space. And because of technology has already been demonstrated to solve the last mile problem. For example, look at our UPI, look at our CoWIN, look at our, many of the things which are happening now. Direct benefit transfer is all saving thousands of crores for the government. The cost is recovered within a month. The whole, what we invested in the technology. So therefore, I think there is a good time for India to come up in the global stage. We are working with the other countries also. Who share similar interests with us. Together, we can take a very good space in the global tech space.
Amen.
Sure. Yeah. Very well said. So now, as we come to an end of this insightful discussion, and you both emphasized, this is the right time for India to work on 6G technology, because even if we see it as 2028 or maybe 2030, so this is the very much high time for us to act on it. And again, I would like to thank you, both of you, for your taking out time today. Thank you.
Thank you.